Aaron here again, and this time I'm going to be predicting the Belk Bowl. A match that's very similar to last year's match in this bowl. It features the Cincinnati Bearcats coming in trying to win it for the second straight year, this time against the opposite rival. Last year they beat Duke, and this year they're playing North Carolina out of the ACC. This is an interesting game. Both teams kind of entered with identical-ish paths to it. Both teams started out with one quarterback and ended with another, both due to injury. Uh, both teams kind of started the year kind of blah, had a bad middle, and kind of finished strong. It's kind of weird. These two teams are really identical. So let's start with them. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bearcats. They played out in the American in its first season this year, and they went 9-3, including 6-2 in conference, to finish third in the American this year. And the American was actually better than people thought it would be, so that was a pretty solid finish. They passed the ball well, and it really showed. They started the year off drilling Purdue 42-7. Purdue just struggled this year. And then kind of their most surprising loss of the year probably was a 45-17 shellacking at Illinois. Nobody expected it, but man, Illinois just took it to them. Fighting Illini showed up big. They followed that up with a 66-9 domination of Northwestern State. They survived an upset scare 14-0 at Miami of Ohio, who was just horrible this year. But the very next week, they suffered a letdown against Southern Florida and got beat 26-20. But after that, they were 3-2, kind of struggling. Well, they were able to rattle off 6 straight wins over Temple, UConn, Memphis, SMU, the Rutgers team, who's playing in a bowl game a little early in the day, and a big win at Houston, 24-17. So they went into their last game 9-2, looking to finish strong, and they played Louisville, and Louisville was just a tick better and was able to beat them 31-24 in overtime. So they ended the year 9-3, and got invited to this bowl, which is actually a pretty good bowl. Last year it was a lot of fun to watch. They won last year, and I think this year's going to be fun to watch too. They're led by quarterback Brennan Kay. The dude threw for 31, 21, and 22 touchdowns. And he did it in like 10 games, I believe, or 10 and a half, because they started out the year with Legault, and he played really strong, threw for 382 and 2 touchdowns himself, but he was gone. Their running backs, Williams and Abernathy, totaled over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not bad. Their receiver, McClung, 908 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns this year, an average of 13.4 yards per catch. And they have another dude named Washington who had 747 yards, averaging 10 yards a catch, had a touchdown reception himself. What I'm trying to tell you guys is these guys throw the ball really well, and they've got a good receiving core. They were 15th in the nation in passing yards with 313 a game, and they ran for 168 a game, which is literally middle of the pack, 67. But when you're passing the ball like that, you can really spread defenses out, and it makes every game with them usually pretty difficult. Outside of that Illinois game, they were consistently solid throughout the entire season. I think that a lot of that was just Brendan Kay. Dude, I think that's when he first came in, was somewhere in that game when the Go got injured, and it just kind of threw him off. But he's gotten better and better as the year's gone on. He's playing through ankle and shoulder injuries, but he still always looks amazingly solid. So we'll see how it goes for him. Now let's talk about the North Carolina Tar Heels. Usually a school you think about for basketball, but their football team showed up this year out in the ACC. They started off the year with a 27-10 loss in the rival game at South Carolina. But South Carolina was so good, it wasn't surprising. A lot of people knew they were going to lose. And they followed that up with a win over Mid-Tennessee, 40-20, and left them 1-1. But then they lost 4 straight games. They had a really rough schedule there. They played at Georgia Tech, home against an East Carolina team that was really good, at Virginia Tech, and then home against then 10th ranked Miami. And actually, East Carolina was the worst loss. They got beat 55-31 by them, but every other game was within 2 possessions. Georgia Tech was an 8-point loss. Virginia Tech 27-17, a typical Virginia Tech type score with Beamer ball. And they lost to Miami 27-23 in a close one. So they were 1-5 midway through the season. It didn't look good for their bowl odds, but The back half of their schedule, they played a lot easier schedule. They played Boston College, NC State, Virginia, Pitt, Old Dominion, and Duke. And they won 5 out of the 6 of those, 5 in a row, including an 80-20 victory over Old Dominion, who was a FCS team, I believe, last week, giving them a lot of momentum going into their showdown with Duke. But Duke was able to hold on. Duke was playing for their trip to the ACC title game, and North Carolina gave them an amazing game. But Duke was able to come back in the end and win 27-25 in that one. And that left North Carolina at 6-6 with that home loss on Senior Day. It was kind of rough, but they did get an invite to the Belk Bowl, so they're hoping to finish their year off on a strong point. I'd say their biggest win on the year was probably a 34-27 victory over Pitt, but that's not really a huge win. These guys definitely struggled at times this year. All the good teams on their schedule they got beat by, but they were all close. They were just a tick off in each game, so there's a lot of potential here for them to play good in this game. They passed the ball pretty well. 286 yards a game is 23rd in the nation, but they only run for 146, which is 85th, so they struggle at times running the ball. They put up about 32 points a game, which is top 50, and they only give up 25. And the thing with them is, outside of the Eastern Carolina game, that even held true pretty well against those top teams like Virginia Tech and Miami and South Carolina and even Duke. So these guys, they're not going to give up too many points, really, no matter who they play. They're going to show up, but they're still going to probably struggle in this game a lot, I feel like. Cincinnati just throws the ball so well, and I think North Carolina is going to struggle against that a little bit. I think Cincinnati is probably going to put up a lot of yardage. North Carolina is going to be trying to throw it to Eric Ebron a lot. This dude, he had like 895 reception yards. He's really good. This is his last game in a Tar Heels uniform. He's going to the draft after this. So he's going to show up big, I feel like. And I don't know. This is one of the hardest ones to pick. North Carolina are the favorites on the spread by 2.5 points. But something about Cincinnati I just like. I like the way they come into this game. I like the way they look personally on paper. I don't know how this game's going to go. I think it's going to be really close. But personally, I feel like Cincinnati's just got a little more than North Carolina has. North Carolina hasn't shown to me that they can beat these top teams on their schedule. I think that's going to show. I think Cincinnati's going to win in a close one, and I'm going to say the final score is 34-27 Cincinnati in the Belk Bowl. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Good luck to both teams, and enjoy the game tomorrow, guys.